For this next part, we're asked to evaluate the 6 trig functions for each real value, or real number. Now, we're not going to do all these for time's sake, because otherwise there'd be a lot of watching the video. So I'm going to go over probably just 2 of these, and I want you to check out the answer key. Try them on your own first, but then check out the answer key to make sure you're tracking along. So we're asked to start off with pi over 6. We're going to do the sine of pi over 6, the cosine of pi over 6, and the tangent of pi over 6. And then after we're done with those, we're going to do the reciprocals, the cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Now the sine, if you flip back to the previous page, the sine is y over 1, in other words, just y. So we're going to use our unit circle and look at pi over 6. So on our unit circle, pi over 6 is right over here, and the y-coordinate is 1/2. So we're going to say the sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. The cosine of pi over 6, we're going to go back to the unit circle. That's our x-coordinate right here, so that's the square root of 3 over 2. And then our tangent, if you go back to the previous page, you'll see it's your y value divided by your x value, or in other words, sine divided by cosine. So we're going to do 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2. Now, that's not the nicest of fractions, so remember, if you're dividing by a fraction, really that's the same as 1/2 times the reciprocal of that other fraction, 2 over the square root of 3. Now we can start reducing some things there. Those 2's are going to cancel out, and we're going to be left with just 1 over the square root of 3. Now again, we're trying to avoid square roots in our denominator, so we're going to rationalize it by multiplying by that denominator. So we're going to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3, which gives us, in the numerator, square root of 3 over 3. So that is our tangent. Now for cosecant, secant, and cotangent, cosecant of pi over 6 is the reciprocal of sine, so it's going to be, instead of 1 over 2, it's going to be 2 over 1, or just 2. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so the secant of pi over 6 is going to be 2 over the square root of 3. Now, just like we did for tangent a second ago, we're going to try to rationalize that denominator, so we're going to multiply by root 3 over root 3. In our numerator, we get 2 times the square root of 3. In our denominator, we get root 3 times root 3, which is just 3. Now, cotangent, again, is the reciprocal of tangent. COT of pi over 6. Now, the reciprocal, we could go through and do it with the square root of 3. Not that one. There we go. The square root of 3 over 3. Or we can go back to the unsimplified version, the 1 over the square root of 3, and take the reciprocal of that, which would be the square root of 3 over 1, which is just the square root of 3. Folks, for 5 pi over 4, you do the same thing. You use the x and y coordinates for cosine and sine respectively. Take the reciprocals. Make sure you're doing y over x for tangent. But what I'm going to do is move on to letter D for pi. So we're going to do the sine, cosine, and tangent for pi. The sine of pi, we're going to go to the unit circle. Look at our y-coordinate on pi. The sine of pi is 0. So sine of pi, 0. Cosine of pi is the x-coordinate on our unit circle. And we look at our x-coordinate. We see that it's negative 1. So cosine of pi, negative 1. Tangent is our y value, our sine value of 0 divided by our x value. So 0 over negative 1, which is, well, 0. Not too bad. For the reciprocals, the cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Well, 0 is not set up as a fraction, but you could think about it as 0 over 1. So the cosecant would be 1 over 0. Well, dividing by 0, we can't do that, so we're going to say that's undefined. Cosine. The reciprocal of that is secant. Sorry, let me get back to the red. Secant of pi. Well, negative 1 is the same as negative 1 over 1. So the secant would be 1 over negative 1, which is still negative 1. So the cosine and the secant end up being the same value. The tangent's reciprocal is cotangent of pi. And we had 0 over negative 1 as part of our work, so we're going to make it negative 1 over 0, which is also undefined. So sometimes your trig functions will not be defined. Now again, there are 4 more of these. Take a look at or try them on your own, but then also take a look at the answer key to see the work.